We the voices behind the face of the Hawaiian nation, the Hawaiian race. Rise for justice, the day has come for all our people to stand as one.
My name is John Miski.
What does the water mean to you?
The water represents a lot of things, you know, and it's sacred within the Pacific, South Pacific, in so many ways. And what is one of the ways it represents itself? It's a bridge. It's a bridge between our islands within the Pacific. It's a bridge which connected us as people, where our forefathers traveled and traded with each other. But, you know, we learn these days there are lines that are drawn on these maps and charts that our forefathers did not draw.
Yeah.
There were no lines as such, you know. And so the water is a land bridge, a liquid land bridge that allowed our forefathers to travel to and from. You know, apart from that, I love the water.
That's beautiful.
It's you know, it gives me recreation.
Okay.
It gives me food. It gives me oxygen. The ocean. And it gives me life.
Oh, that's beautiful.
It gives me a lot of things.
Well,
and I'm really proud to be a part of this project and grateful for the opportunity. Yeah.
Have you done any fishing? Have you gotten
we catch
fish right
fish
out of the bay?
We catch fish along the way.
Oh.
We catch them as we need them, and depending on the size of the fish, we'll catch one or two and no more.
That's
and then we put the rods away, and we'll only catch fish as we need it.
Do you want to ask a question, Kimo or Tibo?
He's trying.
No, how are the seas?
Wait, let me get this.
How the seas?
Yeah, that's a good idea.
That's a good question. Sometimes the sea is nice and calm like you see it now, and sometimes it can get really rough. So
Like waves?
big waves, like huge waves.
I got hit by waves.
Yeah, so you can.
There's one.
Can you tell us about what it means for them to do that trip in terms of indigenismo? Is that part of like?
Oh yeah, it's definitely a part of that. Well, you know, they're just doing that right now. They're doing it to show why it's so important for us to be aware of climate change, especially in the Pacific, because there are a lot of countries like Tuvalu, the Marshall Islands, Tonga, where I'm from, the west side of Tonga Tapu is always flooded. So, you know, that affects our livelihood, that affects as indigenous people, that affects our self-determination to feed ourselves and not have to use all the products from the United States and New Zealand and Australia, you know. So just to farm, fish, and help our families. So they're going around and they're on the vaka, that's what we call it, vaka, and telling people about, letting people be aware about how climate change is really hurting the Pacific, and people are dying and losing their land.
Right.
So,
like, what about curvas and the way that they're just 10 inches a year or something, anything like that?
Yes, exactly. And this is people who see it on a daily basis. A lot of the crew members are farmers and fishermen. So,
okay.
Yeah.
One other thing is, in terms of concepts about what people, especially what indigenous peoples are thinking about, what are the ideas? Is it going along with what I've heard, which is like moving to places like Australia? Or is it more what I've heard the elders say, which is let the water rise and the island will come up? There's this whole split.
Yeah, there are a lot of things happening. I know that there's an island in Papua New Guinea that the water has risen and they've lost their island. And what's going on is that the people of that indigenous island, they're forced, of course, to go to the next land that's still there, but it forces them to make these alliances with these other indigenous people on that island. So they're not leaving. They're not going to New Zealand. They're not coming to the United States. they have to go into these other islands and they have to make new families and new relationships. Of course, that's going to change like the systems in there, but that's what's happening. That's what I see more that is happening. Yeah, because these are people who don't have access to Christian churches or who refuse to do that. Like the Tongans came through the Mormon Church as a way, of course, of survival in our own country. But these are people who are making these kind of relationships with other indigenous people in the region itself.
That's beautiful.
Yeah.
Do you think that in the end, or not the end, but just in terms of the future, whatever that means, that some of the lands will remain above water and some won't? Or do you think that, I mean, some of these, Western scientists say that the Northern Hemisphere will be the only thing that is not covered?
Well, yeah. Well, Tiny, I don't know an answer to that particular question, but I'll tell you this, like, with the Vaka here and the people of Oceania, we always lived in the water, and the water is our land. That's our bodies. So, like, if you look at our small island countries, they're really tiny, and this is a concept too that our great late scholar Epeli Hau'ofa talks about all the time. That the ocean is us, the sea is our land, and it even comes up to this land of the First Nations too, and it connects us, and that's how we're water people, and we're ocean people, and we've lived in the ocean, and we've had our families, and we've loved each other, and fought, and cared about each other, and figured out how to live in peace in the ocean. So if that's what we need to do, we were ready to do that, and we understand it. But that's why the Vaka expeditions are so important, and for our children to go back and learn those traditions about, and that's, now if you're talking about self-determination, there we go, right?
There you go.
Yeah, how is that we can, so how take back our traditions of voyaging,
right,
and then to learn that voyaging for us wasn't just to go on a pretty boat ride,
right.
Yeah, it was a way of life, and so, yeah.
Ashe.
Ashe.
All right, thank you.
We the warriors born to live on what the land is she can give. Defend our birthright to be free. Give our children liberty.